Stephanie Joy Styres is president and CEO of Marketplace Solutions. She's also a consultant, a motivational speaker, a youth mentor, a writer, and the list goes on and on. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
You grew up on Six Nations in the Mohawk Turtle Clan. Tell me what your upbringing was like.
I really had a great upbringing. I had a great family. I had Christians on both sides. So it was really a type of upbringing where they really encouraged you with the type of talents and skills that you had. So they encouraged you to be all that you could be. And especially my father, like my mom and my dad divorced when I was probably about 5 or 6. Growing up, it was difficult because I wanted my mom to be here. I wanted my family to be perfect.
You grew up Mohawk. Tell me about the formation of the identity as Indigenous in Canada.
Well, when I was growing up Mohawk on Six Nations, there wasn't a lot of teaching about being Mohawk and being Six Nations, from Six Nations. So your culture and your language weren't part of the fundamentals of school, of education. So a lot of times the things that I learned was just from people I'd hang out with, my family, elders, different ones in the community, or I'd read the newspaper, our local newspaper, which was the Teka at that time. So I would read that and try to find out who I was enlightened by different things that were happening to First Nations people. Education was low. There was a lot of child abuse. There was a lot of our young people in Children's Aid Society. The list goes on. And I was like, wow, this can't be happening. Like, it just sparked something inside of me that said, I have to do something.
You've kind of grown up with a sense that you have a calling to make a difference for your people. Where did that come from?
I spent a lot of time reading and praying and reflecting. A lot of time I'd just lie on the grass and just think about God and pray, and wanting to be the best person I could be, because my dad, he would always encourage us to be the best person we could be. Follow our dreams, do what you're called for. He said, because if you do that, I'll be here for you. But if you want to be a fool and waste your life, he goes, you can do that on your own.
One of the things I know about you is that you have such a strong faith. I know that was part of your upbringing, but for everybody, even when you're brought up in a faith-based home, there comes a moment you have to own it for yourself. It has to become real to you. How did Jesus become real to you?
I think it was because my parents divorced. I was kidnapped at one point in my life. There was some things that happened to me that shouldn't have happened. And all these things, I thought, why are these happening to me? God, I go to church every day, I pray every day, I'm thinking about you all the time, I try to be the best person I can be, you know, but yet all these negative things are happening. And at that point, I got so angry with God. I thought he left me. And then one day I ran away. I ran to go to see a friend of mine. I went into the house, she was gone. The door was open to the apartment, so I went in. It was so dark in the apartment. So there was a window and there was a light shining through, so I went into the light, scooched into the light, and I just kind of closed my eyes and lied back like that. And I heard a voice, and it said, my sweet Stephanie. I said, what? Who is that, right? My sweet Stephanie. I heard it again, and I heard it a third time. And I said, get out of here. That's you, God. I know it is. You get out of here. I'm taking care of myself, right? And I sat in that light. He didn't speak again. And I sat in that light, and I wept. And I thought, no matter how many times I tell him to get away from me, he's always there. I came home, I flipped on the TV. And this is no word of a lie. I watched Crossroads, and there was a lady on there who was telling her story. And she was telling about what happened to her, and it was so similar to my story. And I began to cry. It was right here in my dad's living room. I began to cry, and I said, oh my gosh. And she talked about how she turned it around, or God turned her life around, and now she was helping others.
If somebody's watching and they're going through some really hard things and they haven't been able to understand how to love God in that, or how God could love them in that, what would you say to them?
One of the big key things that I always mention to them is this. People who go through big struggles, hard times, devastation, you're called for a greater purpose. And if you can look beyond the hurt and just look at how this hurt and pain and trauma can transform lives as you walk your path, as your journey through life continues, and you see the lives that come together and are restored because of you and what you do, you forget it. It's gone. You don't remember.
You really picked that up as one of your passion, mentoring young people. Tell me a little bit about the work you do.
I've always been for the underdog, ones that are falling through the cracks and they're not maybe progressing as they should. So I like to take those young people, I find out what the issues are, then I design programs for youth, and then I implement those programs, and then I look at evaluating those programs. And what I'm trying to do by doing that is feeling around to see what their gifting and their talents and their purposes, and then trying to streamline them into that area. We talk about what's happening now, how can we fix it? Is there anything we can do to have a voice or to be part of that? And it's very empowering for them.
But personally, I think if I like it, if I think it'll do well, then why not give it a shot?
Then there's some that are writers and going into music, like there's just so many things that they can channel.
And I would like to start it because I want to help others through my music.
And go into just if someone's behind them, encouraging them and saying, yeah, you can do it. You're awesome.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your heart with me. I think these conversations are also part of building that understanding and having that listening ear and just learning to love and appreciate each other. So thank you so much for just opening up your home and your life to us.
Oh, thank you. It's been great.